Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining our live stream tonight on this Sunday. If you're watching football, hope you're joining us on social media. I'm joined by Alex Shabbat, one of our defenders. He has a story he's been working on a while. Alex, tell us about your story that's airing tonight after Sunday Night Football.
Hey, Sarah, good to see you. Yeah, we're working on a story about just more of the struggles that people are dealing with when they're in the North Carolina's unemployment system. But this is a new struggle that we've kind of scratched on before, on the surface before, but we're learning more about it. So we're talking about computer errors and glitches when people go to get their North Carolina unemployment account. Some of you, if you're watching right now, may have dealt with this yourself. So we had requested, after hearing that some people were dealing with computer errors and glitches, we had requested a public records request. We made a public records request almost 4 months ago. And we'd been waiting a long time. I'd been checking in, every week or a couple weeks, seeing what was going on with our request. And the North Carolina Department of Commerce finally got back to us after more than 3 months, and it showed that there were dozens of work orders made to fix computer errors during March, April, and May. And anyone who knows, been following the pandemic at all, knows that those were critical months, March, April, and May. So in those months, we found that there were more than 30 computer errors happening. There are a wide variety of errors from these documents show that there were very slow or no response times. There was one case where a claimant was incorrectly paid $600. So we kind of just are going to be highlighting these points. And in addition to that, of course, we want to give you the personal issues that people are dealing with when it comes to this. So we're hearing from two women tonight who issues with errors that actually, these issues were so serious that they were dealing with that they actually couldn't access their unemployment accounts during these critical times. So one woman had lost her job as a part-time hostess. The other woman had lost her job or was furloughed as an administrative assistant at a nonprofit. And they're dealing with these errors as they're trying to get into their accounts and they can't access their accounts. Now, this is in addition to these struggles that we've heard about people trying to make phone calls and not getting a hold of any representatives, or when they do, running into challenges there, being put on hold for 4 hours. So now we're kind of exploring the computer side of things and the issues that people are facing. And instead of getting into their accounts and seeing, are their accounts pending or whatnot, they're seeing an error message. So one woman took a screen grab and sent us an error message. She said she couldn't get into her account for weeks, and there was just this error message. The other woman said she saw this message that said, sorry, the system will be down from 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. The only thing was, when she'd check any other time of the day, it got the same message. So she'd go on at 8 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon or whenever, and it was the same error message. So you can kind of understand the frustration when these people are desperate for money and they're struggling and they've applied for unemployment. And not only can they not get a hold of someone on the phone and they're waiting 4 hours, but then they can't even access their accounts on the computer. So it's like their hands are tied, and just an incredible amount of frustration. And we're kind of shedding light on this issue. Like I said, we've heard anecdotally that there were people who were dealing with computer issues, but this kind of gives us some hard evidence of just how the scope of it and what kind of problems are being seen with the unemployment system, and specifically their computer and IT problems. And it's raising questions about what systems are in place. Of course, everyone understands that there was a huge amount of demand, and there's no doubt about that. But should there have been more done to kind of prepare the computer systems, or are there changes? I don't know if people watching have dealt with computer problems on their own when they're getting onto North Carolina's unemployment system. But like I said, we've talked to two women, and they were just immensely frustrated with that.
I'm just looking at these comments pop up. Marsha Michelle saying she is still pending, and Lakia saying she had the same problem. Margaret saying same here in Virginia. So I know a lot of people that have these issues. Alex, they reach out to you and the Defenders team. How did you decide to do this story? Did these women reach out to you?
Yeah, we've been contacted by these women after they had, a variety of issues they were having. One of them I kind of talked to her a little bit on the phone about what was going on, and obviously her main concern was just getting her benefits. But as I was talking to her, talked to her about the computer issues, and as I was hearing that, I was like, I've heard of other people having computer issues as well, and so we kind of combined it into being a bigger story. There was a different woman who we'd done the second woman we'd done a story already about. She said she'd nearly faced eviction while she was waiting for her unemployment benefits, and she had also said part of her story was that she had facing computer errors and IT problems and glitches. So kind of combine these two people who all, came from different backgrounds, different work histories, but both had this in common, this common link where they had discovered IT problems or had unfortunately ran into them while they were trying to get into their accounts. And it's part of our, just where's the money segment where we're trying to bring all issues to light and show people what's going on, show the struggles to, state officials and everyone else. And when people see that, sometimes others come forward and say, hey, I've had that same issue. And then if we can scratch the surface and show the scope of the problem, that, that hopefully can help bring a solution once we know what the problem is and it's, brought to the public. And there's just a wide variety of issues and it's a complex process. So I would want to encourage anyone to go to our website too, because we have a lot of resources, whether it's computer issues that you're dealing with or just not being able to get a hold of someone or just not being real familiar with how the process works, because there's a number of different programs to help people with unemployment. I encourage people to go to WCNC.com/money because we have a lot of resources there to help.
We really do. And you've done a lot of great stories that are on there as well. Alex, what did the state say?
So we reached out to the state. First, I should mention that just getting, again, these public records were very long time it took for the state, even though I was sending a lot of emails, and unfortunately got a similar result from the state official, the spokesman I'd been talking to, trying to get an answer about regarding what they're doing about these computer problems or IT problems. I sent a couple emails over the course of the last week or two because I anticipated this story was coming and hadn't heard back. I basically had asked, what's the state's response? We're seeing more than 30 work orders for computer glitches. And I said, one, I'd like to know, what the state's response is just about the issues and what people are going through. Two, what's being done to improve the situation. And I didn't hear back. So it does raise questions about, what is being done. I mean, are these recurrent issues? Has this all been fixed? There's a lot of questions we still have about it. And that's also why these kind of segments and doing these live streams are helpful, because if there's other people out there who are currently dealing with those problems, we definitely want to hear about it because these people were dealing with the problems, 2, 3, 4 months ago, and we uncovered that there were many more issues than just what they were dealing with. So I want to know if others are dealing with it as well. But yeah, no answer from the state at this point.
So when you talk about doing those public records requests, I know a lot of people might not be familiar with that process. You said it took you 3 to 4 months. What's common when you're doing these requests with these stories?
Yeah, that's a really good question, Sarah. And it really depends on the request with public. I mean, some of them are relatively simple. The factors that matter, what's the scope? Are you asking for a week? Are you asking for a month? Are you asking for a few months? And how complex is the request that you're asking for? Is it, crime data that's relatively available? Obviously, that's not the case in the segment we're talking about here. The reason this one was more complex, and I understood that it was going to take some amount of time, was that I asked for 3 months worth of data, and it is, detailed data about computer systems. The state told the representative or the official I've been talking to, told me what the delay was that they were actually putting it through security screenings to make sure that they weren't releasing anything that would jeopardize their security systems, which I totally get. And that's an important thing to do, obviously, to make sure that they're protecting the integrity of the system. It did take, 3+ months, but we did get the records. So it all depends on what is actually the request is about, what kind of steps it has to go through to get approval. And those are some of the factors. So basically we request, when you do the job enough, you kind of get to know what records are public, what records you could have access to. So in this case, I knew that generally when a city or a state is doing, work orders, or if they're fixing something, whether it's a sidewalk or a computer, there's usually work orders put into place. And so I wanted to know, what are the work orders that were done on all these computer issues that we've been anecdotally hearing about? And that's kind of what the basis of the request was, to look a little bit deeper. So I found made the public records request, and little over 3 months it took, and probably half a dozen or more emails to get it, but we did get it. I should say that they did redact a lot of the material, just based on looking at it. Each line in each work order had about a line, maybe a little bit more line description, but it's enough to kind of get a feel for some of the issues that they're dealing with. It doesn't give us an in-depth look at that, but I understand there is a balance between, their security systems and what they can release, and us wanting to know exactly what the problems are.
Well, Alex, I hope everybody tunes in tonight after Sunday Night Football to watch your story. Real quick, if they want to get a hold of you, if they have a question or a story idea, how do they contact you?
Yeah, the best way to contact me is that you can email me. I definitely want to hear from you guys if you have an issue, for tonight's story, especially if something's similar to this. But in general, if you're struggling with the unemployment system, you can go on to email me at ashabad@wcnc.com. I believe, we got that. We have that up on the screen, ashabad@wcnc. I believe that's my Twitter handle, actually. But ashabad@wcnc. Yeah, just the first letter of my first name and my last name at WCNC.com is my email. I should quickly mention that you should tune in for the story after the football game, too, because you really want to know how it ends for these two women. And we'll tell you that what happened with their claim after dealing with all these errors. So I think you should tune in to see how it all ends for these women. Did it end in a positive note or a negative one? And we'll let you know about that.
Great. Alex, thank you so much for all your reporting. You've been doing some incredible stories, really making a difference. And so I look forward to watching this story tonight as well. Thanks, Alex.
Thanks so much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Good talking to you.
You too. Bye-bye.